Right, let's rewind the clock to last season and talk about Alex Márquez. The guy was absolutely on fire. He was leading the championship in the early stages and was giving his own brother, Marc Márquez, the seven-time world champion, a serious run for his money. Now here we are in 2026, just 3 rounds into the season, and it feels like Alex has completely disappeared from the front of the grid. In this video, we're going to dive deep into exactly why this has happened. We'll look at what's gone wrong with the bike, why Ducati themselves are finding themselves in a tricky situation, and whether Alex has the ability to turn things around. Make sure you stay with us right until the end because we've got a really good question for you all before we finish. To truly understand just how dramatic this drop-off has been, you have to remember how strong Alex was throughout 2025. He picked up 3 wins and 12 podiums on race Sundays, and he finished the year as runner-up in the World Championship. That wasn't any kind of fluke. That was a rider who kept his head down, stayed incredibly consistent, and delivered strong results weekend after weekend. At one point, he was even leading the championship ahead of Marc, which is no small achievement when you consider who his brother is. Fast forward to the present, and the numbers paint a very different and quite bleak picture. Across the first 3 rounds in Thailand, Brazil, and the United States, Alex has scored only 28 points. That's barely more than half of what his fellow Ducati rider, Fabio Di Giannantonio, managed to collect over the exact same period. Right now, he sits 8th in the championship standings, which feels a very long way from where everyone expected him to be after his brilliant performance last year. This isn't simply a temporary rough patch. Something more fundamental is at play here. The heart of the issue is that the new GP26 Ducati simply doesn't suit Alex's riding style in the same way the GP24 did, the bike that helped him achieve those outstanding results in 2025. And here's the particularly frustrating part. Ducati have supplied him with exactly the same factory-spec machinery as Marc Márquez, Pecco Bagnaia, and Fabio Di Giannantonio. It's the identical bike and the same tools for everyone, yet the results couldn't be more different. Alex has been very open and honest about the situation. He has admitted himself that the characteristics of the GP26 clash quite noticeably with his natural way of riding the motorcycle. In some races, he said it has felt less like actual competition and more like pure survival. That's a very strong word to use, and it reveals a lot about his mindset during those difficult weekends. Even after an extensive preseason testing program and 3 long-haul races, he still feels he's roughly 20% away from getting the maximum out of the package. That's a significant gap. It shows that the connection between rider and machine simply hasn't been established yet. As if that wasn't enough to handle, the bigger picture at Ducati isn't exactly encouraging either. Alex has been quite frank in saying that Aprilia currently hold the advantage. Their bike delivers much better stability and grip, and he hasn't held back in stating that Ducati need to step up and close that gap. The specific problem is that the current Ducati feels like an unpredictable machine. There's a lot of movement in the bike, and the riders are struggling to judge exactly how hard they can push before the tires let go. Picture driving a car where you're never quite sure when the rear end is going to suddenly step out on you. You'd naturally become more cautious, wouldn't you? That's exactly the challenge Alex is facing every single weekend. For a rider who is still trying to understand and adapt to a brand new motorcycle, that kind of instability makes an already tough job significantly harder. If we look at the opening rounds one by one, the results don't make for very comfortable reading. Alex came away from Bararam with 0 points, and he made very little impact in either Goiânia or Austin. His best result of the season so far is a 4th-place finish in the sprint race at the United States Grand Prix, and even that result had more to do with circumstances than genuine outright pace. Meanwhile, Fabio Di Giannantonio, riding a Ducati for the VR46 team, has looked competitive at every single round and has quietly become Ducati's most consistent point scorer. When you're being outperformed by someone on essentially the same machinery, that's when the difficult questions really start to be asked. What makes the situation even more striking is that this time last year, Alex was the one leading the World Championship. The reversal in fortune has been dramatic. Having said that, Alex hasn't given up or thrown in the towel. Not at all. He has pointed to the cancellation of the Qatar round as an unexpected opportunity that gives the team some extra time to sit down, go through the data in detail, and hopefully arrive at Jerez with some proper solutions. He has spoken about the progress being gradual but genuine. With each round that passes, there are small improvements that make the bike feel slightly better. Importantly, he believes that once everything finally clicks into place, the good results will come very quickly. He has already shown that he is capable of delivering at the highest level. Last season proved that beyond any doubt. It's also worth mentioning that he is still running some aerodynamic components from the 2024 specification on his current bike. That shows the team are actively working to find a compromise between what Alex feels comfortable with and what the new package requires. It's not a complete fix, but it's clear evidence that they are not simply standing still. Adapting to a new motorcycle in MotoGP is genuinely one of the most difficult challenges any rider can face. Even Marc Marquez needed a considerable amount of time to properly settle in after switching from Honda to Ducati. But there's a key difference here. Marc rides with an almost fearless aggression, basically forcing the bike to behave through sheer determination and willpower. Alex, on the other hand, is a smoother and more measured rider who depends heavily on the motorcycle feeling stable and predictable underneath him. From everything we've heard, the GP26 rewards that more aggressive riding style. And until Ducati can solve their current problems with stability and grip, Alex's natural approach is actually working against him rather than helping him. It's not yet a full-blown crisis, but it is a real problem that needs to be addressed, and the sooner the better. Before we finish up, we want to hear what you think. Drop your opinion in the comments below. Do you believe Alex Marquez can turn this situation around starting at Jerez and for the rest of the season? Or is this looking like it could become a long and difficult year for the younger Marquez brother? If you enjoy following MotoGP with honest, no-nonsense breakdowns like this one, then make sure you hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. Here's one final thought to leave you with. In motorsport, the difference between a champion and someone who just takes part often isn't raw talent alone. It's how quickly you can learn to truly communicate with the machine beneath you. Alex Marquez showed last season that he is more than capable of doing exactly that. The only real question now is how fast he can manage to do it again with a bike that isn't making life easy for him. If you've got a friend who's into MotoGP and hasn't seen this video yet, send it over to them. The more people we have, the better the discussion becomes. See you in the next one. Keep the rubber side down. And honestly, there's something almost poetic about the position Alex finds himself in right now. Last year, everyone was wondering whether he could genuinely compete at the very front of MotoGP. He answered that question in the strongest possible way with wins, podiums, and a genuine title challenge that took everyone by surprise. This year, the question has completely changed. It's no longer about whether he belongs at the sharp end of the grid. Now it's about whether he and Ducati can solve this puzzle before the entire season slips away from them. The championship waits for nobody, and every single round that passes without a strong result is ground that becomes much harder to recover. The points he lost in Thailand, Brazil, and Austin don't magically come back. The riders at the front aren't going to slow down out of politeness while Alex finds his feet. That's simply not how this sport works, and Alex understands that better than most. But here's something that's easy to overlook amid all the current struggles. Alex Marquez has been written off before more than once, in fact. There were many people who believed he would always live in his older brother's shadow and would never truly make his own mark at the very highest level. Then 2025 happened, and those same people had to eat their words. Maybe quietly, but they still had to eat every single one. So before anyone starts writing off his entire 2026 season, it might be wise to remember that resilience is probably his greatest strength as a rider. That mental toughness to stay calm when things aren't going well, to keep working closely with the engineers, to keep communicating, and to keep believing that the breakthrough is just around the corner. That's not something every rider has. Alex does. And if Jerez brings even the smallest sign of that old connection between rider and machine returning, don't be surprised at all if the rest of the paddock suddenly remembers exactly who they're up against.